Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec and I'm back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are continuing on with the pre-security learning path inside of TryHackMe. This time we're covering Linux Fundamentals Part 1. Embark on the journey of learning the fundamentals of Linux. Learn to run some of the first essential commands on an interactive terminal. Let's go ahead and dive in. Task number 1, Introduction. Welcome to the first part of the Linux Fundamentals Room series. You're most likely using a Windows or Mac machine. Both are different in visual design and how they operate. Just like Windows, iOS, and macOS, Linux is just another operating system and one of the most popular in the world, powering smart cars, Android devices, supercomputers, home appliances, enterprise servers, and more. We'll be covering some of the history behind Linux and then eventually starting your journey of becoming a Linux wizard. This room will have you running your very first commands in an interactive Linux machine in your browser, teaching you some essential commands used to interact with the file system, introduce you to how users and groups work on Linux, and what this means for us penetration testers. And if I'm not mistaken, most of the internet runs on Linux systems. Now let's go ahead and jump on to task number 2 here, a bit of background on Linux. Where is Linux used? It's fair to say that Linux is a lot more intimidating to approach than operating systems, also known as OSs, such as Windows. Both variants have their own advantages and disadvantages. For example, Linux is considerably much more lightweight, and you'd be surprised to know that there's a good chance you've used Linux in some form or another every day. Linux powers things such as websites that you visit, car entertainment, slash control panels, point of sale, POS systems, such as checkout tills and registers in shops, critical infrastructure, such as traffic light controllers or industrial sensors. Flavors of Linux. The name Linux is actually an umbrella term for multiple OSs that are based on Unix, another operating system. Thanks to Unix being open source, variants of Linux comes in all shapes and sizes, suited best for what the system is being used for. For example, Ubuntu and Debian are some of the more commonplace distributions of Linux because it is so extensible, i.e., you can run Ubuntu as a server, such as websites and web applications, or as a fully fledged desktop. For this series, we're going to be using Ubuntu. Ubuntu server can run on systems with only 512 megabytes of RAM. Similar to how you have different versions of Windows 7, 8, 10, there are many different versions slash distributions of Linux. Research. What year was the first release of a Linux operating system? So go ahead and do some Googling, see if you can answer that, and then come back to the video for the answer. Hey everybody, just a quick little blurb here. As you can see here, most people that view my channel are not subscribers. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting the like button. It helps get me in the algorithm, helps spread the good word out there, helps bring more people and increase our glorious community here. All right, I'm all about helping out others. I know what it's like to come up in cybersecurity or even try to get into cybersecurity and not knowing where to look. I'm just having this channel up so I can help out other people. All right, that's all I got. After doing some digging, you'll come across that the answer to this would be 1991. Now let's continue on to task number 3 here. Interacting with your first Linux machine in browser. This room has an Ubuntu Linux machine that you can interact with all within your browser whilst following along with this room's material. However, to get started, simply press the green start button on top right of this task indicated by the arrow on the right. So let's go ahead and press that here. Once deployed, a card will appear. Once deployed, a card will appear at the top of the room. This contains all information for the machine deployed in the room, including the IP address and expiry timer, along with buttons to manage the machine. Remember to terminate a machine once you are done with the room. More information on this can be found in the tutorial room. For now, press start button or start machine where you will be able to interact with your own Linux machine through the browser whilst allowing or following along with this room. And that's what they're talking about up here, right? So while this is loading, let's go ahead and complete this. We've already deployed it. And let's continue on to task number 4. Task number 4, running your first few commands. As previously discussed, a large selling point of using OSs such as Ubuntu is how lightweight they can be. This, of course, doesn't come without its disadvantages, where, for example, often there's no GUI, graphical user interface, or what is known as a desktop environment that we can use to interact with the machine unless it has been installed. A large part of interacting with these systems is using the terminal. The terminal is purely text-based and is intimidating at first. However, if we break down some of the commands after some time, you quickly become familiar with using the terminal. This is what a terminal looks like. We need to be able to do basic functions like navigate to files, output their contents, and make files. The commands to do so are self-explanatory once you know what they are, of course. Let's get started with two of the first commands, which I have broken down in the table below. This is echo. Output any text that we provide, and you got the who am I. Find out what user we're currently logged in as. So see snippets below for examples. Okay, so let's go ahead and play around with it. So let's do this one here, echo, and then hello world, or sorry, hello friend. There we go. See how it echoes, it prints to the screen there. And then who am I? TryHackMe is the user. If we wanted to output the text TryHackMe, what would our command be? Well, that's going to be echo, and then TryHackMe. I wonder if they want us to put it in like this. So let's go ahead and try this. Okay, they don't want that in there. All right, so let's just do it this way then. Awesome. What is the username of who you are logged in? And already saw that there's TryHackMe. All right. Now let's go ahead and continue on here to task number 5. Interacting with the file system. So far, we've only covered the echo and who am I commands. Not all that useful when you consider things that we need to do, including navigating the file system. Read and write to do it as well. In this task, we're going to be learning the commands so that we can do just that. Just like the previous task, I'll display the commands in the table in the next heading and show examples of these commands being used. Interacting with the file system. As I previously stated, being able to navigate the machine that you are logged into without relying on a desktop environment is pretty important. After all, what's the point of logging in if we can't go anywhere? And there's examples there. You got ls for listing, you got cd for change directory, cat for concatenate, pwd print working directory, listing files in our directory ls. Before we can do anything such as finding out the contents of any files or folders, we need to know what exists in the first place. This can be done by using the ls, short for listing. Okay, so let's go ahead and type that in here. Let me clear all this stuff out. There you go. All right, so ls, and there you go. There's all the files, folders. In the screenshot above, we can see there are the following directories slash folders, important files, my documents, notes, pictures, right? Looks just like that. Great. You can probably take a guess as to what to expect a folder to contain given by its name, ls pictures, yada, yada, yada. Change our directory using cd. Now that we know what folders exist, we need to use the cd command, short for change directory, to change to that directory. Say if I wanted to open the pictures directory, I do cd pictures, where again, we want to find out the contents of this pictures directory, and to do so, we'd use ls again, as it shows there. And let's just go ahead and do it in here, and then folder 1. Okay, that's what's in here. Nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back. Outputting the contents of a file, cat. Whilst knowing about the existence of files is great, it's not all that useful unless we're able to view the contents of them. We will come on to discuss some of the tools available to us that allows us to transfer files from one machine to another in a later room. But for now, we're going to talk about simply seeing the contents of text files using a command called cat. Cat is short for concatenating and is a fantastic way for us to output the contents of files, not just text files. In the screenshot below, you can see how I have combined the use of ls to list the files within a directory called documents. And there you go there. And there's this text file here called to do. And they did a cat on to do, and that's what was inside of that file. We've applied some knowledge from earlier in this task to do the following. Use ls to let us know what files available in the documents folder in this machine in case it's to do. We then use cat to concatenate, output the contents of the to file. All right, now let's see here. Pro tip, you can use cat to output the contents of a file within directories without having to navigate by using cat, yada, yada, yada. So if you did cat and then home, Ubuntu, documents to do, it will just display the information inside that text file there. Sometimes things like usernames, passwords, just really flags or configuration files are stored within files where cat can be used to retrieve these. Finding out the full path to our current working directory, PWD. You'll notice as you progress through navigating your Linux machine, the name of the directory that you are currently working in will be listed in terminal. It's easy to lose track of where we are in a file system exactly, which is why I want to introduce PWD. This stands for Print Working Directory. Using the example machine from before, we are currently in the Documents folder, but where is this exactly on the Linux machine's file system? We can find this out using the PWD command, like within the screenshot below. And there you have it, PWD, and listed out here. Let's break this down. One, we already know we're in documents thanks to our terminal, but at this point in time, we have no idea where documents is stored so that we can get back to it easily in the future. Number two, I have used the pwd print working directory command to find the full path of this documents folder. We've helpfully told by Linux that this documents directory is stored at home Ubuntu documents on the machine. Great to know. Number four, now in the future, if we find ourselves in a different directory, we can use cd home Ubuntu documents to change our working directory to the documents directory. All right, let's answer some questions here. On the Linux machine that you deploy, how many folders are there? Well, let's see here. One, two, three, and four. So four is going to be our answer. There we go. Which directory contains a file? Well, let's go ahead and see what's inside of these directories. So you can cd into the, I already know folder two or folder one doesn't have anything in it. So this doesn't have anything in it. So let's go back and do the same. Folder three, nothing. All right, so let's go back again. Oops, go back again. And folder four should have something in it. There we go, note. And if we cat note, what's inside there? Awesome. Okay, so this is going to be folder four. There we go. What contents of this file? And we have hello world. All right. Use the cd command to navigate to this file and find out the new current working directory. What's the path? All right. So remember that's pwd to do that, and this should be the answer. So we're just gonna copy and paste this if it lets us. Awesome. All right. Task 6, searching for files. Although it doesn't seem like it so far, one of the redeeming features of Linux is truly how efficient you can be with it. With that said, you can only be as efficient as you are familiar with it, of course, as you interact with OSs such as Ubuntu. Over time, essential commands like those we've already covered will start to become muscle memory. One fantastic way to show just how efficient you can become in systems like this is the usage of commands to quickly search for files across the entire system that our user has access to. No need to consistently use cd or ls to find out what is where. Instead, we can use commands such as find to automate things like this for us. This is where Linux starts to become a bit more intimidating to approach, but we'll break this down and ease you into it using find. The find command is fantastic in the sense that it can be used both very simply or rather complex depending upon what it is you want to do exactly. However, let's stick to the fundamentals first. Take the snippet below. We can see a list of directories available to us. And there's an example there, the ls on it. You got desktop, documents, pictures, folder 1. Now, of course, directories can contain even more directories within themselves. It becomes a headache when we've we're having to look through every single one, just trying to look for specific files. We can use the find command to do this for us. Let's start simple and assume that we already know the name of the file we're looking for, but can't remember where it is exactly. In this case, we're looking for password.txt. If we remember the file name, we can simply use find hyphen name passwords.txt, where the command will look through every folder in our current directory for that specific file, like so. Find has managed to find the file. It turns out it is located in folder 1 / password.txt. Sweet. But let's say that we don't know the name of the file or want to search for every file that has an extension such as .txt. Find lets us do that too. We can simply use what's known as a wildcard, which is the asterisk or star, to search for anything that has a .txt at the end. In our case, we want to find every .txt file that's in our directory or current directory. We will construct a command such as find hyphen name asterisk .txt, where find has been able to find every .txt file and has then given us the location of each one. And you can see that here in a little snippet. Find has managed to find password.txt and to-do.txt. That wasn't so tough, huh? Using grep. Another great utility that is great one to learn about is the use of grep. The grep command allows us to search the contents of files for specific values that we're looking for. Grep is awesome. Be sure to familiarize yourself with grep. Take, for example, the access log of a web server. In this case, the access.log of a web server has 244 entries. That is a lot, right? So you can use grep to try to find specific information, right? To limit stuff down. And here's an example here, using WC for word count to count the number of entries in the access log, 244 entries. So in word count, the dash L stands for lines, so 244 lines in there. Using a command like cat isn't going to cut it too well here. Let's say, for example, if we wanted to search this log file to see the things that a certain user / IP address visited, looking through 244 entries isn't all that efficient considering we want to find a specific value. We can use grep to search the entire contents of the file for entries of the file or the value that we are searching for. Going with the example of a web server's access log, we want to see everything that the IP address 81.143.211.90 has visited. Note that this is fictional. And here's an example here that they did grep on it, and this is what they're looking for inside of this access log file. And it found the specific line or entry here, right? Grep has searched through the file and has shown us any entries of what we provided, and that is contained within this log file for the IP. Use grep on access.log to find the flag that has the prefix of THM. What is the flag? All right, so remember, you're going to do ls in here, and then there's access.log right there. So let's go ahead and follow along what it says here. So you're going to do a grep, if I can spell grep correctly, grep, and then inside of here, they want us to do THM, right? So that, and then access log. And there we go. This looks like it. So the answer is going to be THM, then access here. So I'm going to copy and paste this, plug it in here. All right, and that should finish that part of it. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on here, see what task number 7 has in store for us. And let's see here. Task 7, an introduction to shell operators. Linux operators are a fantastic way to power up your knowledge of working with Linux. There are a few important operators that are worth noting. We'll cover the basics and break them down according to bite-sized chunks. At an overview, I'm going to be showcasing the following operators. All right, the first one is the ampersand or and symbol. This operator allows you to run commands in the background of a terminal, and you got double ampersand or double and signs. This operator allows you to combine multiple commands together in one line of your terminal, and you have the greater than. This operator is a redirector, meaning that we can take the output from a command, such as using cat to output a file and direct it elsewhere, and then double greater than is this operator does the same function of the greater than operator, but appends the output rather than replacing, meaning nothing is overridden. Now let's go ahead and cover these in detail here, and let's talk about the ampersand. This operator allows us to execute commands in the background. For example, let's say we want to copy a large file. This will obviously take a long time and will leave us unable to do anything else until the file successfully copies. The AND shell operator allows us to execute a command and have it run in the background, such as this file copy, allowing us to do other things. And double AND, this shell operator is a bit misleading in the sense of how familiar it is to its partner. And unlock the AND operator, we can use double AND to make a list of commands. Run example command 1 and command 2. However, it's worth noting that command 2 will only run if command 1 was successful. And then the greater than. This operator is what's known as an output redirector. What this essentially means is that we take the output from the command we run and send that command or output to somewhere else. A great example of this is redirecting output of echo command that we learned in task 4. Of course, running something such as echo howdy will return howdy back to your terminal. That isn't super useful. What we can do instead is redirect howdy to something such as a new file. Let's say we wanted to create a file named welcome with the message hey. We can run echo hey to welcome, where we want to the file created with the contents hey like so, and then there's the example there. You can cat it, and that's what it has in it, hey. All right, so let's see here. And you got the double greater than symbol here. This operator is also an output redirector like in the previous operator we discussed. However, what makes this operator different is that rather than overriding any contents within the file, for example, it instead just puts the output at the end, following on with our previous example where we have the file welcome that has content hey. If we were to echo to add hello to the file using the greater than operator, the file will now only have hello and not hey. But if you use double greater than operator, allows us to append the output to the bottom of the file rather than replacing contents like so. And here's an example of what it looks like, hello, and then to that welcome file. So he has both in there now, hey and hello. All right, so let's go to some questions. If we wanted to run a command in the background, what operator would we use? Remember that was the and symbol. So there we go. If I wanted to replace the contents of a file named passwords with the word password 123, what would my command be? All right, so it wants us to replace the contents of the file called passwords. So let's see here. That's going to be echo and then passwords 123 and then to the file, right? So greater than, and it should be passwords. Okay, there we go. Now if I wanted to add TryHackMe to the end of the files, but keep passwords in there, so we're going to do echo, and we're going to do TryHackMe, right? And then the double in there to put it at the bottom, and then passwords. There we go. And now use the deploy Linux machine to put these into practice. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and do a quick example here. So we'll just do echo passwords 123 into passwords. Oop, there we go, passwords. There we go. And then if we do a cat on it, see that's in there. Now let's do this again. There we go. Now we'll just add another one in here. Let's do TryHackMe. Now I should add this to the file as well. And then let's do a cat on it. And there you go. But let's go ahead and continue on to task number 8 here. See what it has for us. Okay, conclusions and summaries. Nice work on getting to this stage. We've covered quite a bit for your first interactions with Linux. However, these are the most essential functions you're going to be using whenever you interact with a Linux machine. I hope this room hasn't been too daunting for you to power on through this. Um, it's as I previously mentioned, you're going to become familiar with these things very quickly because of how often you're going to be using them. To quickly recap, we covered the following: understanding why Linux is a commonplace today, interacting with your first ever Linux machine, ran some of the most fundamental commands, had an introduction to navigating around the file system, and how we can use commands like find and grep to make finding data even more efficient. Power up your commands by learning about some of the important shell operators. Take some time to play around in this room. When you feel a bit more comfortable, progress to Linux Fundamentals 2, which will be the next video. I'll have a play around, so be sure to familiarize yourself with all these commands in here, especially grep. All right, because you're going to be coming across this in your career most likely. So familiarize yourself with just basic stuff with Linux, and then you can also progress on as these commands become muscle memory. This is a part two, the Linux Fundamentals series. We're going to take a look at that. Terminate the machine, and then join the room. So go ahead and complete this here, and then I'll terminate the machine after this video here. Actually, I'll just do it now. And that wraps up this video. Hopefully you all got some kind of value out of this video. If you did and you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button with the notification bell. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Comment below your thoughts and opinions. Have you used Linux before? Are you familiar with Linux? Are you a Linux guru? Do you like Linux? Etc., etc., all that good stuff. As always, thank you all for watching. Have a nice day, and I will see you later.